Are you ready?
Let's get ready to rumble! Can't wait!
This is Moffett on the mic on the A1 Sports Network.
Bow to the masters. Break it down!
How you doing, everybody, and welcome to the Moffett on the Mic radio show, courtesy of the A1 Sports Network. I am Craig Moffett, and of course, this show would not be complete without the people's producer, the production stylings of the head honcho, the big cheese, the Uber driver, the chief cook and bottle washer of the A1 Network, the only employee of the A1 Network. I am talking about the president, Chris Klim.
What's up, Greg?
Klim, one thing I love about since we've been back is that people we've talked to in the past and have played a huge role in being on our show in the past and have taken the time to come on our show have come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we started with Tim Healy, continue with Andrew Gross, then we had Christine Nguyen on with us, and this one I'm even looking more forward to because you built this relationship as far as I'm concerned. And they've been on our show multiple times. You've even had the pleasure of calling the wrong brother that was supposed to be on the show.
So funny. That was so funny.
Okay. And of course, guys, I'm talking about that tonight we have a very special guest, the return of a very good friend of the show, and that is Andrew Pisano from the What's Wrong with Wrestling podcast is going to join us. So as you know, this is a wrestling show today, folks. So we're going to be talking everything going on in WWE, AEW, Extreme Rules is this Sunday. And I'm sure Andrew's going to have plenty to say about that. And we are really excited to have him on the show. They've been a good friend of ours for a while now. They've come into the studio to do shows with us. And Andrew and Joe have always been awesome. They've always been awesome guests. And we're thrilled to have them back in the fold on the show. Andrew should be here momentarily. So I'm sure he's got plenty to talk about with the world of wrestling.
I have so much to talk about with all this wrestling stuff that's been going on. AEW, WWE, NXT. I got everything that I can't wait to talk to Andrew. And like when you mentioned we were able to get Andrew, Joe, and Eric into the studio, I was like, whoa, like that was like a surreal moment for me because I listen to their podcast every single Wednesday. I've subscribed to their Patreon. I'm a full fan of the What's Wrong with Wrestling podcast. So to have them in the studio and we did a whole WrestleMania week show with them.
They were fantastic.
It was great.
And the thing is, they came all the way from Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
All the way out to Suffolk County to do a show with us. And that says a lot. And it meant a lot to us that they were able to do that. And they didn't have to do that, but the fact that they did, it was so great. And the show kicked ass. And they were a lot of fun to have on our show for the 2 hours that they were on. It was truly awesome.
Yeah, when I told them that we were gonna where the location was, and I knew they were coming from Brooklyn, I was fully prepared for them to say no. I was like, you know what? I get it. It's fine. You don't have to drive the hour and a half to see us. But I think
in some ways, if it's a way, listen, part of this business, and not that we're in the business, not like we're getting paid. It's the fact of we're networking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we network with people like Tim Healy, for example. Tim has been he's been on my show 3 times, and every interview has been great. It's always been informative. He's always been, he's been awesome. And the same thing with guys like Andrew Gross, who fill in and give us Islander info, and his info is off the charts when it comes to hockey. And the fact that they remember us, even Christine Nguyen, who we love. I mean, she's absolutely one of my favorite guests on the show, just because, we just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's what the interviews are all about. It's just, and the fact that you were able to build that relationship with them, I think is just awesome. And the fact that they, were able to get them back on again, I think is great. So, and this is just, kind of just another, kind of link in the chain, so to speak. It's kind of like another, just, another thing to climb, just building up that relationship. And, so it's pretty awesome. So I had the chance to watch Raw today because I watch it on Hulu on a repeat. And I noticed they edit out some matches, so some matches didn't make the Hulu show. So I wanted to see the Ruby Riott Bianca Belair tag match. I thought it was such an odd tag team against the Iconics, and they didn't show that match in the Raw broadcast. And I think the Viking Raiders wrestled Andrade and Garza yesterday, and they didn't show that match either.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, like which matches they pick and choose to see matches. I'll never forget the first time I watched Raw on Hulu, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to see it. I see like an hour and 50 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. They just cut out a bunch of the commercials and everything. That's fine.
Yeah. No,
They cut out matches. I was like, oh, this didn't happen. Like, I didn't get to see.
Hulu makes their money. They don't make us $5.99 subscriptions where we, just because we're cheap, But, and the thing is like, well, wrestling in general has been dealt a bad hand. I think we can agree.
He's here.
He's here? All right, put him through. Joining us now on the Moffett on the Mic show, he's been a good friend of ours. The show in general has always been a good friend to ours. We're thrilled to have him back. We are joined by Andrew Pisano from the What's Wrong with Wrestling podcast. Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, hey, I'm here. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Andrew, how's it going, man?
Come on.
Pretty good. Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, man, thanks for taking the time as always. We always love when you and Joe come on our show to talk wrestling.
Oh, I appreciate it.
We're definitely thrilled to have you on.
You got a little bit of a Kevin Owens vibe going on over
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys like it.
Was that planned or was that by default?
No, it's by default. I've always kind of had this going on, I guess.
Okay, so you've been a very heavy critic of Monday Night Raw these days. And I guess I just want you to kind of give me your overall opinion of the show so far. And is it just more because they're holding back because there's just no fans right now and they're not doing shows in the arenas. They're doing shows at the Performance Center.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know exactly how to feel about it right now. I mean, you got to give them somewhat of a break, I guess, because of, everything that's going on with COVID and all that. But at the same time, it's still pretty boring. I mean, it's just as boring as it's been when there has been a crowd. So I mean, like there's certain things that I want. Like I want to see Sasha and Bailey fight, but I also want to wait until there's a crowd for that. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, especially this week, SmackDown and Raw were both pretty brutal. I mean, worse than they've been, I would say, recently.
I mean, SmackDown was beyond terrible, and the fact that they're still doing this Jeff Hardy thing with the alcoholism is just,
Oh my God.
it's tough. It's just tough to watch. It really is.
Yeah. Like, why do that? Like, you did that with, I always get them confused, but was it Animal? Or I always get the Legion of Doom guys confused.
Oh, Hawk.
Hawk.
Hawk was the alcoholic, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, Hawk. And then, like, they do that storyline and he ends up dying in real life. It's like, well, was it really worth it?
But it's just like they kind of do things. Okay, so you saw the SmackDown, obviously, when they set up the accident in front of the Performance Center. And,
yeah,
like,
of course. Yeah.
the cops and Jeff Hardy had the booze in his car and everything.
Right.
And then, like, I thought that was going to be the time where they have the hacker come in and, like, kind of like when they used to do the GTV.
Yeah.
A time ago, and they used to, the unedited footage, of course.
Right.
I thought that would have been the prime time to, like, label Sheamus as the guy who caused everything, and then they got rid of the hacker altogether.
Yeah.
It's like you never truly got an answer to who caused the crash.
It's like I always say, whenever there's a whodunit and we don't find out, it's Hornswoggle. That you just got to go with Hornswoggle in the end.
Worst reveal for the anonymous Raw GM.
Worst reveal for everything.
God,
For
I was
Vince's.
so mad because I wanted that to be. There were so many rumors of who that could have been, the anonymous Raw general manager, and it was one of my favorite things. Even though a lot of people didn't like it.
Right.
Just like Michael Cole being like such like a douche and going, "Oh, I have an email from the Raw general."
Yeah, exactly. Well, I used to think it would have been Michael Cole because he was, it was always him reading the emails, and then it was like maybe he just did this in a way to gain power, and
he would say something like, "Oh, and the email would end like, and if you don't like that, I've got 2 words for you," and then he would just go like, "Too bad." Right? Like, I thought that was great. Great. But then they had Hornswoggle hiding under the ring with the laptop, and I was like, "Oh,
yep."
That was so stupid. I just can't believe do they just like literally sit there and be like, oh, this is good stuff. Like, this is good. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Now
it's like Moxley says. Vince probably was like, it's gonna be Hornswoggle. It's good shit.
Now,
what he says about all that crap.
In your opinion, which is the worst reveal they've ever done? That or when Vince McMahon was the higher power?
Like the Raw, in the end of the day, the Raw GM thing wasn't it wasn't going to matter who it was. So I don't think that was the worst one. And Hornswoggle being Vince's bastard son was bad. But the higher power was hyped up to be this huge thing. And then it was so obvious that it was Vince. And then they're like, no, it's not Vince. And then at the end of the day, it's me, Austin. And it's Vince.
I remember for a while they were trying to tease it. They were going to bring the Godfather back as Papa Shango, and he was supposed to be the rumored guy to be the higher power.
That would have been cool, yeah.
That would have been awesome. And then they and then it's just like, oh God, it was just so bad. Like when they build up and it's just Vince.
No,
even JR was like, when Vince said it, JR was like, oh, son of a bitch. I think that was just him in real life. Like, this is bullshit.
Well, even you were talking about like bad like things like that. Like, remember when Vince died like in the car explosion, but then he had to come back 2 days later because Chris Benoit murdered everyone. So
oh
my God.
I don't know if this was true or not, but apparently it's been all over social media that apparently when that explosion took place, like Donald Trump called WWE like offices to see if he was okay.
Is Vince okay?
All over social media like last week, and they show the video of the car exploding, like in there was a SmackDown or something like that.
I just want to make sure Vince is okay. I was watching Raw. I know this wrestling stuff. People say it's fake, but I think it's real.
Clem, you got something or?
Yeah, I got something. What made us fans think that the women's tag belts were going to be a good idea when they can't even run a men's tag division?
Gosh. I mean, in my opinion, I think they're doing a better job with the women than they are doing with the men. I mean,
now, but
right now because Sasha and Bailey have it. But like when the Iconics had it, it was like, what are they doing? They weren't even like on TV when they had it. It made no sense.
They are just listen, I really like the Iconics for comic relief.
Yeah.
Man, you really see how bad they are at wrestling. Like it's
for sure.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And I try to give them the benefit of the doubt and everything. And Peyton Royce has gotten a little bit better, but Billie Kay looks like she belongs nowhere near a wrestling ring.
No, she's always been awful. That's why they should have two separate things, like have a women's division and then just have divas, and they could do the diva stuff.
I would love to bring back the bra and panty matches. I mean,
no, you can't do that anymore. I don't know if
no, they won't.
We live in a different society now.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately.
Obviously, Extreme Rules is this Sunday. The card, to be honest, looks very meh. It's like it just is not. I mean, I find it really weird. I mean, again, I'm just going to chalk this up to the fact that with no fans in the arenas and there's just that crowd reaction not there, they're not really building up really good feuds. And for example, what I'm talking about is Dolph Ziggler gets traded to Raw in the AJ Styles trade, which I can't even talking a trade in wrestling.
Like a month later.
Yeah. And then it's like he gets a title shot on the first day he shows up at Monday Night Raw.
Sure.
And I mean, I guess that's the mantra now. The best
That's nothing new. That's nothing new though, because there's so many times where Roman Reigns with Goldberg, I'm next. I mean, yeah.
But the best part about that Raw is like Dolph Ziggler goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, Robert Roode is here too, or coming to Raw," and it was like crickets, and like I mean, and that's from the NXT guys being the audience. So it was like everybody had totally forgot about Robert Roode because he's probably in Canada and he can't come to the States to wrestle.
Right.
Just like. It just doesn't seem like any of the feuds, any of the matches. The fact that MVP is getting a title shot is just annoying in general.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, is it safe? Like, can we hope that after Extreme Rules, we're going to finally get some legitimate feuds to get to SummerSlam, or is this just all going to steamroll until they start getting fans in the stands?
Well, they got to make SummerSlam at least feel big. I mean, the rumors that Randy Orton's going to fight Drew McIntyre, I'd like to see that. I wouldn't mind, just because Orton, honestly, like Orton's one of the few things that makes Raw watchable right now. Obviously not the whole show because it's 3 long hours, but at least when Randy Orton's on, I'm entertained for now because it seems like he cares right now and he's doing a really good job. So I wouldn't mind Orton winning the title again. I never thought I would say that again. Like like years ago when he last had the title against when he beat Bray Wyatt. In 2017, I was like, no, why? But that was babyface Orton, boring Orton, even though he set Bray Wyatt's house on fire. He was a babyface. But no, like I never thought I would say I want to see Orton as champion again, but he's doing a really good job right now. It's one of the shining lights during this whole pandemic and how bad Raw is. So I wouldn't mind seeing him champion again, and then hold it till Edge comes back, and then let Edge beat him or let Drew McIntyre beat him.
In your opinion, is this where they do the Sasha Bailey like twist at Extreme Rules, or do you think they're just going to keep kind of dragging this out until?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen at Extreme Rules, but I think maybe the Raw or SmackDown after Extreme Rules, because I think Sasha loses to Asuka, and then afterwards she's like, oh well, why don't we just have a fight? And obviously Bailey wouldn't want that, so maybe Bailey attacks her. I see Sasha being the face in that feud just because Bailey's she turned heel like a year ago. So
I think she's a great heel. I think she's a great heel. Like I was actually surprised that she took to it so well.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if it was going to work at first. I thought it was, especially, I mean, when she stabbed the Bailey buddies, I thought that was actually kind of funny. But then,
she's definitely better at being a heel than a face, I think. Just because, face Bailey was just so boring and stupid, and she acted like a 10-year-old. And yeah. But I think it'll happen at SummerSlam. I mean, they'll still have a good match. It's just a shame that it'll be in front of no one.
So I was reading
the fake crowd.
So I was reading the card for Extreme Rules this Sunday, and the one match that popped out again because I've barely been watching. You guys like listening to the podcast has been my only source of really wrestling because I can't watch with no fans. So I looked at the card. I'm like, oh, an eye for an eye match. In the description, it said to win you have to extract the other person's eye. What the hell does that mean? Like, does it seriously take the eyeball out? Like, oh my, this is so stupid. Oh.
Yeah. I heard rumors that there's going to be like a CGI eyeball.
My God.
I mean, good Lord. Yeah. It sounds pretty rough. I don't know I guess that's what they're going to do. That makes the most sense to me. I mean, not the most sense in terms of doing this match, but just how Vince thinks and how WWE's what they've been doing lately. It'll make the Boneyard match look amazing. I don't know how you guys felt about the Boneyard match, but
I enjoyed it. I actually really liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I'm judging by your reaction. You did not.
No, I mean, to me, it was like a bad horror movie. I mean,
okay, so let's touch on that. So this is probably going to be one of those theatrical matches, and let's say WWE has hit or miss on a few of them.
Yeah.
I like the Boneyard match, but again, differing opinions and all that stuff. I really like the Money in the Bank match. I thought the men's Money in the Bank and the women's Money in the Bank was good. Mm-hmm. It looked weird. I thought it was just going to be kind of an odd concept in general, but I thought overall it was done. I just don't know. I like Otis winning, but I get this weird feeling that AJ Styles dropped the case by accident.
But it was all pre-taped, wasn't it? I mean,
I know, but I'm saying like he should have.
Like Vince, he dropped it by accident.
Weird.
It's like he drops it by accident, and Vince was just like, "Go with it, I love it."
But the thing is that then you had the match with Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream, and I didn't think that was great. I thought it was kind of like it just seemed like a bit much. And then there was another match recently that they did, and I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't really anything special as well. I think it was at the last pay-per-view. What was the one before Extreme Rules? Was it
Backlash with
Backlash.
Edge and Orton had the greatest match ever or whatever.
This is
that's what it was. It was the Viking Raiders Street Profits match.
Oh yeah, of course.
It wasn't a match. I mean, that was just like that was a disgrace.
Like I was entertained by Bray Wyatt and Cena, but that was not a match. You can't even call that a match. Yeah. Like that's not even a win for Bray Wyatt as far as I'm concerned. It was just a comedy segment, which it was hilarious, but it was not a match.
During that match that Vince McMahon, like, of all the things you could do in this climate of, racism and Black Lives Matter and everything, you have Akira Tozawa dressed as a ninja.
Right.
And, it doesn't sink in. Like, it just doesn't sink in. Like, this is not a good idea.
I don't get it.
But the whole match itself was just downright ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think, like, WWE is just hitting they're trying to throw it up and see if people will bite, but it just, when you look at it, it just doesn't come out very strong. The fact was that Viking Raiders match was put together like 3 days before the pay-per-view. And then it turned out to be a theatrical match, which made it even worse.
Right.
So, So is it just the case at this point that it's just going to be more theatrical, in hopes that, like I said, an eye for an eye match? Like, I mean, it just sounds ridiculous on the cusp just by thinking about it. I'm sure
Right.
Seth Rollins is like, give me a break.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then it's just going to be like, I mean, this is why I think everybody just gets so frustrated with Vince just running everything, because it's either his way or no way. And then if that's the case, then it's just going to be a lot of miserable wrestlers that are getting pushed down to the back burner pretty much.
Yeah, and he keeps changing his mind. Last year they did the wild card bullshit, and then he does the brand to brand invitational. That only lasted like 3 weeks, and now they're pretending like that never happened. Like Nikki Cross was on Raw, they're like, "What is she doing here? She's not allowed here." And it's like, what about the brand to brand stuff? Like, what about that? You just had that. Like, oh, is that gone already? Okay, which I'm glad it is, because that was stupid in the first place. But they're just trying anything at this point. And we have the eye for an eye match, and then there's also the swamp fight, which that'll be another cinematic match where I'm sure one of them will be eaten by alligators at the end of the fight.
Then they'll show up on Friday Night SmackDown. Like, yeah, I'm good.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, it was even like in Money in the Bank. They got literally 2 guys got tossed off the roof. They were there. SmackDown and Raw the next day.
No,
It's like,
not a
you're
scratch.
supposed to be dead technically. Like,
Yeah, they had to explain like, oh, well, he thought he did, but then there was another platform there. So,
The thing about
okay.
the women's Money in the Bank match that made me laugh was the first thing that came to my mind when Asuka won was, and Shayna Baszler was nowhere near the ring
Yeah.
at the end, was, well, at least we know how Vince feels about Shayna Baszler at this point, because
Yeah.
she literally played no role whatsoever in that match. And everybody,
No.
I thought she was going to win and feud with Becky Lynch or whatever, and then Becky Lynch got pregnant, of course. But it was
Right.
just one of those things that it was just like, you really see how Vince just, when he doesn't like you, he buries you, basically.
Oh, yeah, for sure. See, I was excited about the Money in the Bank match. I was excited the idea of starting on the floor and going all the way to the top, but they made it too much of a comedy segment. I remember talking about how Asuka got in the elevator before everyone else, and then she's in the elevator, and then like 5 minutes later, the rest of the women get in the elevator, and somehow they got to a floor before Asuka did. Like, what was going on with Asuka's elevator? She should have immediately won the whole thing, and she ended up winning the whole thing. But like, still, it was just
He's
ridiculous.
how to
And then,
bypass that elevator to get to the roof.
yeah, and then AJ Styles was getting lost on the floor. It's like, what do you? Why are you look? He was looking for Rey Mysterio. Why are you looking for Rey Mysterio? Go get the briefcase, dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you could tell like how like some of it was just really poorly done. Like it was so predictable. Like
Yeah.
especially, and you could also tell like how some of the editing was really poor. Like when Dana Brooke thought she had it, and then
Mhm.
Stephanie McMahon walked in, the editing was like so bad.
Yeah.
Like
Like-
Stephanie couldn't be there for like that 5 seconds. Like she literally, like it literally looked like she did a Zoom meeting like this, and they just cropped her out and we're just like, we're just gonna put her in here. Like they
Yeah,
couldn't-
she stood in front of a green screen, and then they just.
That's pretty much what it was.
By the way, if I'm Dana Brooke, screw that. I'm just taking the money. There was like 10. I mean, there was a lot of money in there. Maybe
Yeah, I'm not
$100,000.
I'm going out a winner one way or another. I might as well
Yeah.
take the 10 G's and run.
Right.
How is someone like Dana Brooks still employed? Like when they had Black Wednesday, when everyone got fired, they were like, you know what? Let's keep Dana Brooke and let's keep Lana. Like, why did that make sense?
Well, they need people for their karaoke segments, And
Oh my God, that was
God.
horrible.
yeah.
I mean, and of course, that's like, so here's the one thing that I've been kind of going on, and I've noticed it a lot with WWE, is that they are very big on pushing only their heel wrestlers.
hmm
They don't do anything like, they never build a face wrestler the way they did with like Cena.
Yeah.
Cena people just hated him, but he
Right.
was a face. He wasn't a heel. He was never a heel wrestler.
Right.
Because, I mean, if he ever turned heel, like, I mean, the backlash would be ridiculous. But it's almost like, okay, you put Lacey Evans as a face, and she literally does nothing. She gets like 3 title shots, does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's back to being a heel, which you're kind of pushing her again.
Right.
Sheamus, who they've repackaged about 100 times, when all they really had to do was put him back with Cesaro, form the bar, go for the tag team titles. They keep repackaging him as a heel, and he never does anything.
No, he's so
Like-
boring.
Like, why do they keep, like, why don't they really spend time pushing, like, face characters? Like, every
Well-
time they move Kevin Owens to a face, he's kind of a bust. When they moved The Miz to a face, he was a bust. Like, it just seems like every time they do a face character, they really do nothing with that character.
Well, and the face turns are always so lame.
Yeah.
Like, Miz turned face just because Shane beat him up. Kevin Owens just turned face because he just didn't like Shane, and then he just cut a promo one day and, oh, I'm a face. But even with Lacey Evans turned heel because of karaoke?
Because she lost.
She was a face last week. And then this week she's a heel because she lost at karaoke. That's their heel and face turns now.
It was like they put, one of my favorites, of course, is Ruby Riott. They made her a heel. She was losing matches as a heel more than when she was part of the Riott Squad.
Right.
Now it seems like they're gearing more, putting her back with Liv as some kind of a tag team, even though they had her tagging with Bianca Belair, which kind of looked awkward, but it was fine.
Yeah.
But I just never see the development of like a quality face. The thing is, like, you push Roman Reigns as a face and he gets booed out of the stadium, the arena every time he comes out. So they're booing him like a heel, even though he's not supposed to be a heel. Like, it's almost like they're saying that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
And the same thing with Cena.
Yeah.
So it's just like, they have not really developed a guy like that Hulk Hogan type of guy since probably John Cena. Am I wrong?
No, yeah. I think McIntyre is doing a good job as a face right now. Sometimes they make him say stupid shit, but other than that, I think he's doing a good job as a face.
Because I feel bad for McIntyre because, that was his WrestleMania moment in front of no crowd. And, he's going to probably lose the title and then get lost in the shuffle again. And where
maybe
he's probably not going to be up for a belt for at least a year, let's say, give or take.
Right. No. Yeah, they could do it at the next Mania. We'll see.
Well, one guy I think they wanted to develop was Finn Balor. They gave him the title right away when he got called up, but then unfortunately he got injured, and now hasn't really gotten a title since that time. Like, I think he held the IC title for a little bit, but that was it.
Yeah.
And now he's back on NXT, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with him being on NXT, but
of course,
I need him to win a title or something.
They pushed Finn Balor when he's the demon, and now I don't think they're doing that, obviously, because of just the fact he's actually been a really good heel for NXT.
It's been great.
Right. Although now he's a babyface again.
Exactly, because they had to fight Damian Priest, and that just kind of like they.
Oh my God!
You see what I mean, though? It's just like he's doing his best work as a heel character, and now you kind of pushed him back into a face because you made Johnny Gargano a heel, and nobody gave Johnny Gargano was like, to me, I always called him a poor man's Tommy Dreamer because when he was a face, all he did was lose. Now he's a heel, and he's like, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's great as a heel, but it's like, why is the WWE so hell-bent on pushing these guys more as heels than as faces?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the opposite of what they did 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, it used to be the heels were all boring. Yeah. Like even Jericho was in if you were a heel 10 years ago, you were in a suit. Like every heel was in a suit.
And the belt on your shoulder.
Jericho would be in a suit. Triple H would be in a suit. Everyone would be in a suit.
Type stuff.
And they would just cut boring promos and be boring. Now it's the baby faces that are boring and can't have any personality. I don't get it.
And the thing is, like, you're burying guys. Like, one guy that Clem and I have talked about, and I've talked with a few people that just is buried right now, just in like the worst possible feud, is Aleister Black.
Oh, yeah, his character right now is he's a Rey Mysterio fan.
And it's like he's and listen, his matches against Murphy were awesome, but it's like you could tell he's just like a third or fourth player in this whole thing. He should be bigger than that by now.
For sure.
And now they're talking about there's a rumor that he might turn and like join Rollins' faction or something like that.
I wish he would.
I mean, it's just like, it's almost like I almost want him to join up with Zelina Vega's, troop, because I actually really I love that.
Vega's great.
I was going to say that would make sense, husband and wife. So,
right,
they are married, right? They're not just dating.
Yes, they are.
Oh.
Yeah,
but I think even that just plays out to the fact that WWE does not know how to develop the NXT talent, because you can say maybe like 2-3 guys have been very successful since their call-ups. It's Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and I guess you could say Roman Reigns too. But other than that, everyone else has been really like buried. Aleister Black, great NXT champion, haven't done anything. Andrade, great NXT champion, nothing. We're getting nothing out of even Samoa Joe. I know he's been injured, but even when he wasn't injured, he never got the push or what.
He was a good guy. He was just like buried. Like, he just was like getting beaten up every week by Rollins' faction. When he was a heel, he was beating the crap out of everybody.
Yeah.
Well, even Kevin Owens right now, he's the most talented guy you have on the mic, and he's one of your best in-ring performers. Yet all he's doing right now is he's in everyone else's feud.
Yeah.
Right now he's doing nothing in Seth and Mysterio's feud. He's just like, hey, I'm just a guy in this feud. Like I'm your tag team partner. And then with Apollo Crews and MVP or who was Apollo Crews feuding with last?
Oh no, Apollo Crews he was doing matches with Owens.
But even there was one Raw where Apollo Crews needed a tag team partner and Kevin Owens was like, I'll do it. Yeah, it was when Crews was feuding with Andrade.
Yeah.
Like
and then Kevin Owens was like, I'll do it. I'm just a tag team partner. Yeah, that's me. I'm just a guy now.
Like, it literally made no sense. He beats Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, does nothing, but Seth Rollins gets the title shot. That made all the absolute sense in the world after WrestleMania. I was like, they are so bad at writing.
I just think they run into a situation where they don't feel comfortable giving guys the next step forward. It was like, remember how Money in the Bank was supposed to be the springboard for a mid-card guy to jump to the main level?
Yeah.
And then, not this past year because Otis won it, which, again, Otis is not going to be a heavyweight champion. Let's call it what it is.
Of course not.
If he takes the Money in the Bank and cashes it in against the New Day, then I'd be okay with that with Heavy Machine and the titles.
Right.
But the year before that, it was like Ali was about to win it, and then they bring in Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar just invites himself into the match and eliminates everybody, and then he wins the case.
Yep.
It's almost like they're afraid to really take a guy and move him to the next level to see what he can do. They just would rather go with what they know. And that's keep them, keep the mid-card guys as the mid-card guys and just kind of shuffle the deck with regards to the guys who they consider the main event.
They'd rather just call Goldberg, I'm sure the Goldberg call's coming. The Goldberg call's coming. It comes twice a year, they got one more left.
He's 2-0 in Saudi Arabia and 0-2 everywhere else. I mean,
Exactly.
What is it about Saudi Arabia that brings out the best in Goldberg?
No, he lost to The Undertaker. He has one loss. Remember the worst match of all time?
Oh my
Undertaker versus Goldberg? This is the crappiest show. Oh my God. The worst
that was, if I remember
of all
right,
time.
The Undertaker, he won that match on a body slam, but it was supposed to be like a jackhammer.
It was the crappiest choke slam ever. Oh my God.
It was like you could see how bad it really was.
Yeah, it was not even a choke slam.
Like, I remember even watching The Last Ride, and they showed that match, and I was like, I can't. Oh my God! I tried to erase this from my memory, and this was just so bad.
I know. I didn't understand that documentary. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. It made me feel for Undertaker and be like, yeah, he really loves this. Because he was my first favorite wrestler when I was a kid. Like, he was – So, I feel a little bad for him. But then, they show all these horrible matches he's having, and you're like, God, just retire, stop. Whether, he performed well in the Boneyard match, but, all they did was punch and kick each other. For him to say, well, that was a great final match. It's like, that wasn't a match. That was a fight. That was not a match. Who are you kidding?
Yeah,
the worst mistake they ever made with The Undertaker was they should have never had him lose at WrestleMania.
Yep.
I think that should have been something that just went with him to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
By far. And then, of course, it was just of course, you lose to Brock. And then it just looked weird because it was they put his record up 27-2 when he lost to Roman. It just looked so awkward that it didn't have any substance at that point.
Well, it's if you're gonna lose at Mania, just lose once. Don't lose twice. And when you lose, just go.
Yeah.
He should have been done after Brock.
Yeah.
That would have been a fine way to retire. Yeah. I mean, he had so many chances to retire.
He did. In reality, it should have ended after the second Triple H match at WrestleMania.
Sure.
But, if he retired after Brock Lesnar even, that would have been fine as well.
Yeah.
So it's calmed down a bit, but of course there was wrestling had their version of the Me Too movement about a few weeks ago where there were just multiple stories coming out left and right.
Yeah.
Out of all the wrestlers that were accused, was there anyone you were really surprised about? Because if there was one right now off the top of my head that had accusations against him, it's Jack Gallagher.
Sure.
And I don't know why, but it's just he just doesn't seem like
because he's 5 feet tall.
Yeah, pretty much. And wore the most awkward tights I've ever seen in a match.
Yeah.
It was Matt Riddle. For some reason, it didn't really surprise me because he just kind of seems like that, kind of douchey, like arrogant, kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're like another wrestler on that list, like Joey Ryan, not the least bit surprised.
that one almost seemed like too obvious.
Yeah, like it just, I was like, so let me get this straight. So the guy whose big wrestling thing is his penis is like, whatever. And of course he's accused of sexual harassment. Why am I not surprised that, this I can honestly say is true without any evidence.
Well, even
Right.
Velveteen Dream too. It's like you kind of can tell like something's going on there behind the scenes with Velveteen.
What was the story with Velveteen Dream? Because I completely missed. I kind of missed that one.
Underage.
Underage dudes. Like, not
Underage boys and girls.
The stories were literally rapid fire. It was like one after another on that weekend. Just every 2 minutes, a new story was coming out from someone accusing. Kurt Angle was accused.
Kurt Angle was?
Yeah, Kurt Angle was accused.
I didn't even hear that one.
But that was when he was in Impact, not in WWE.
Okay. Well, I remember when he was in Impact and he got in trouble for like stalking someone.
It was like the
an
wrestler
ex or
looked
whatever.
familiar, and I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I know who she is. I just can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But like Riddle was involved, and then like I said, Gallagher was the one that kind of surprised me out of everybody because it seemed like that kind of guy just from watching him on 205 or whatever. Or like I said, Joey Ryan was blatantly obvious. I mean, that was
Sure.
All of them.
Yeah, I think Riddle can recover because that one, I've looked into that one a lot, and I don't want to say either way, but it seems like it could be it could be true or it could be a blatant lie. But the Velveteen Dream stuff seems pretty, I don't know. There's a lot of evidence with that one. And screw that guy, but it's a shame because he could have been really big.
Oh, good.
He could have been really big. He had such a great gimmick and
Yeah, now it's all.
Do you think that's why he lost to Cole? Do you think that maybe that played a role in him losing that match to Cole? Or do you think that Cole was going to win that match regardless?
It's possible. At the time, I picked Velveteen Dream to win. Afterwards, I was like people don't win titles in street fights usually, so I don't know why. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, maybe it's possible because that stuff came out like not too before that match. So it's
amazing how WWE street fights are still just jeans and a t-shirt. That's like we have a street fight. Like a street fight when we were, you watch in movies or just maybe sometimes just see them on the street as people just literally using any weapon they can to crap out of each other. WWE guys just show up in a pair of jeans and a pair of Timberlands and are like, all right, I'm ready for the street fight.
Yeah.
No weapons whatsoever. It just wind up as a wrestling match. It just goes around like one block of street, basically.
Right. And they do I'm glad Keith Lee won. I mean, because Adam Cole's time is up. He had it long enough. And I like Keith Lee. I just wish they would have done it at a takeover.
Yeah.
But I guess because of COVID, they just said, screw it. Let's just do it on TV so we could beat AEW 1 week in the ratings. And
that could be the thing too, because it's just like the fear of the unknown. They don't know when they're going to have people back in arenas. They don't know when. It's so much uncertainty. So it's just like you can only drag it out for so long because eventually what's going to happen is, as we saw, the ratings dipped big time.
Oh yeah,
because the matches were just really poor. The feuds were not interesting.
Right.
I mean, listen, you brought the friggin' Big Show out of retirement yet again. Just to get punted by Randy Orton. I mean, we already know what the outcome of this match is. So
for sure.
Bother? Like, why bother?
Yeah, no, he's.
And then of course, and I don't know if it's going to end with Ric Flair getting punted.
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, so for the record, that's all the members of Evolution.
Yeah.
Who beat the piss out of Ric Flair.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Turned on Ric Flair because.
Oh, Randy. Yeah, Randy's like, it's my turn. Yeah.
Triple H did it when he first came back, like a long time ago.
Yep.
Batista did it like a year ago, leading up to their match at WrestleMania. Yeah. And now it's leaning towards the fact of Orton eventually just taking him out.
Oh yeah, on Raw when he was like, "Yeah, Rick, I'll be right there," and then he was like, he looked at him a certain way.
Oh my gosh.
He's the legend killer, and he's got the biggest legend of all time as his manager. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, listen, spare me the legend killer thing until you punt Austin or punt The Rock or something like that.
Sure.
I can't get behind, Christian. All right, I like Christian, but it's like, it was so predictable, like every week.
Well, he called R-Truth a legend on Raw.
He's a 37.
R-Truth.
He's a 37-time 24/7 champion. You got to.
Oh yeah, that's
24/7, 7-Eleven, I-95.
Stop it.
stop.
Listen, the
it.
fact that he thought Ric Flair was Akira Tozawa was perfect comedy for me.
Oh my god! Like there are
He's doing that every week. Yeah.
there are sometimes R-Truth real funny, and then it's other shit. It's just like when you hear that, it's like, all right, come on, we're not 5 here. Let's pick it up. Most of this is our drunk 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds watching this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite thing he did was when he came out in the Rumble and set the ladder up because he thought he was in a ladder match. I thought that was really good. That was, I think, his best.
How long before WWE ruins Matt Riddle? Or if they didn't ruin it already with his terrible segment on SmackDown.
I originally said 3 weeks, and I think last week was his 3rd week, and he got interviewed by Michael Cole, and they just kept taking shots of his feet. Vince was just like, zoom in on the feet. Show the feet. Who the hell wants to see a man's feet? Like, who wants to see that? Who cares? Like, he's not the first wrestler to fight in feet. Yokozuna, Rusev did it a few years ago. Like, he's like, there's been so many Samoans. I mean, come on. They've all done it. They've all wrestled without shoes.
Snuka did it too.
Yeah, and then they give a terrible backstory as to why he never wears shoes.
What the hell?
First of all, if I had that, if that was the backstory, I would wear shoes all the time.
Of course, it made no sense.
Like,
it made no sense.
So stupid. Like, this is what I'm saying. They can't build NXT characters. Even when Shayna got brought up, she was part vampire when she got brought up.
But that's why, like, I was reading this the other day that some of the NXT guys, they were talking about the Undisputed Era. The Undisputed Era has kind of run its course in NXT, so they want to move them up to the main roster.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't want to go. They don't.
I'm sure they don't. They will be ruined.
They want to stay in NXT.
And we won't even. And if they do it now, we won't even at least we can be like, well, at least we got the cool pop. But no, we're not going to get that because of COVID. So like, don't do it. Gargano and Ciampa, I don't think they want to go either because they know, like, would you rather have more money or would you rather be happy at your job? I think in the end of the day.
Like, Gargano got called out for being afraid to go to the main roster.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him because he's just going to probably be buried there too. And,
yeah, everyone should be afraid.
And the thing is, like, I mean, I don't know if Keith Lee was eventually – I mean, now he's not because he won the title. So he's probably not going to be there for a while. But they talked about moving – actually, the funniest thing I heard this week about NXT was apparently Vanessa Bourne on NXT was called up to the main roster.
Yeah.
But it was like – the point is that they have nothing for her.
Yeah.
But they brought her up anyway. So
What's
she's
the
just
point?
sitting on the sidelines, but she's on the main roster, which just makes no sense.
Well, she still goes to the same place. They all go to the same place right now. So I don't think it feels that she's just still in catering like she was for NXT. She's in the same spot that she was in NXT. So
but I just
not
think
much different.
It just killed me when I read that because it was like just this real like I was reading this other article about just about what the question was about if Io Shirai goes to the main roster, how would they use her? And I'm like, they probably use her poorly because they just don't. They don't have a good track record of using NXT wrestlers very well. And then they just kind of put this little blip at the bottom that said, "Oh, Vanessa Bourne was recently called to the main roster, but creative has nothing for her right now, so everybody's dumbfounded as to why she's on the main roster."
Yeah, it doesn't.
She's gonna get the EC3 treatment.
Actually, let's get to that. So as you know, this week is Slammiversary.
Right.
Impact is teasing a mystery opponent for the title, but what they're doing is they're basically taking all the guys that WWE ruined and just released.
Yep.
Trying to spin that as their mystery opponent.
Right.
So the question is, do any of those guys, and I'm talking like Hawkins, I'm talking, well, Gallows and Anderson are probably going to be there as a tag team, not as a singles, but like Mike Bennett, EC3.
Yeah.
Any of those guys intriguing enough to make a title match more exciting? And why does Impact tend to feast on WWE's released wrestlers instead of just
Well, I mean, so does AEW, right?
that's a good point. I'll give you that.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you watch Slammiversary? Is like, I don't even know. How do you even watch it?
And it's on pay-per-view. I didn't order it. I'm not going to order it. But
does anyone know how much that is? Like, how much?
There's no shot.
There's no way. Yeah.
The buying price. I would buy Slammiversary for $20 max. That'd be the maximum.
It can't be more than like 30, right? I mean,
I can't imagine it.
I mean, I hope it is. I mean, no more than 30. If it's anything more than 30, you're getting ripped off.
I don't even know
Yeah.
what channel Impact is on.
I have no
They've
idea.
been in and out of TV deals or like just streaming deals and everything because there's no. The thing is like when you watch them. Here's the crazy thing: when you watch them with an audience or without an audience, it's the same reaction. It's literally you can hear a pin drop.
Right.
Place. The only time I ever saw like a huge pop from a crowd is when they tape shows in New York.
Yeah.
But when they were doing shows in Vegas at I forgot the name of the place, and like I remember who it was, but they drop a promo, and like they get to that part where they're supposed to get a reaction, and there's literally no reaction from the crowd.
Right. Yeah.
So the thing is, like, what? I mean, at this point, I mean, are they just dying a slow death? Because with
They've
AEW,
been dying for 10 years. I don't know how they're still around.
I mean, with AEW, even Ring of Honor is considered better than that.
Yeah. Where do they usually tape?
They tape like from what I was reading about how they do things, they tape multiple shows in one particular place and they move to another place and another.
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
they don't have like a main spot.
Yeah, like for a while they were taping shows in Vegas at some place that looked like a dive bar, to be brutally honest. And you know, in New York when they used to do it in the city and they used to get a huge pop from the crowd and stuff like that. So that was like, but taping in New York for them is probably insanely expensive.
Yeah.
So they just kind of bounce around and do like 3 shows and then they record 3 shows and then they air them and then they move on to the next place, do 3 shows. But the thing is, none of their wrestlers, and then what they do is they bring back guys like Ken Shamrock and Tommy Dreamer. And I'm saying to myself, like, why are you bringing back Tommy Dreamer to put in a feud with the heavyweight champion? It doesn't make any sense.
Ken Shamrock's like their Goldberg. Like, we got him. Here he is.
And he looks brutal now. Like, he just looks really beat up.
I didn't even know he was still alive.
I mean, you wouldn't know because he's an Impact, but but now getting over to AEW, give me your thoughts just right now of the product as of right now, like just what you like about it, what you don't like about it, just overall.
Well, I like Chris Jericho. I mean, that the one great thing about AEW is they let Chris Jericho be Chris Jericho, and he's just fantastic. I mean, as far as NXT.
I started watching Fyter Fest. I thought he was a little much on commentary. Like, on the first day. Yeah, I thought he was a bit much. Like he just was like, but some of the things he said were funny.
Oh yeah.
I felt like he was trying too hard, and then like some of them you could hear they just kind of crashed. Like some of his jokes just fell really flat. Right.
No, I certainly like AEW. I enjoy it more than watching Raw and SmackDown. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of stupid things. I mean, I don't see what people see in Kenny Omega right now. I haven't seen it.
I totally agree, man. I totally agree with you.
I don't understand. I'm like, what is it? What is it? He's so goofy in the ring. He's so corny. He won't drink a beer. Is it supposed to make me like him? Then he pours beer out? Just give it back. Don't pour the beer. Just hand it back. Beer is not evil. What you become if you drink too much beer is evil. But no, beer itself is not evil.
Dude, it's funny you mentioned that because when I first read about Omega going to AEW, everybody was like, oh, he's going to be amazing. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be amazing. And I watched a couple of matches, and I really wasn't impressed. Like, I just wasn't blown away by the way everybody was hyping him up to be, because of his time in New Japan or just on the indie circuit. But I just was like, okay, he's okay. Right. I'm not blown away by the guy. Like, I don't see a champion here. But
no.
What am I missing? I mean, apparently I'm not alone because
I guess people just like his style. I don't really like it. I mean, he's in a good tag team with Adam Page right now. They're a good tag team together, but to me, it's nothing really special. And people are raving about their tag team division, and I love the Revival, who are now FTR. I love them. So they're obviously better in AEW than they are in the main roster, Raw or SmackDown, but I don't think they're as good as they were in NXT, and I don't think that's their fault. I just think that's how they're being used. Like, right, and the fact that they're not heels, they're being friends with the Young Bucks. Like, no, what?
Yeah.
Why are you good guys? You're not supposed to be good guys.
Yeah, when I saw them tagging up together last week, and I was just like, that's not what I want to see. I want to see the Revival be heels. Like, I want to see them beat up the Young Bucks, not be friends with them.
Yeah, and their debut was so lame. They could have. Their debut to me was very disappointing.
When they showed up in the car and everything like that, and they showed up in
and that beat up truck. And it's like a week. What was it, like a week after Cody showed up in a truck.
Yeah,
It's like you what? You can't do the same thing. I don't know.
maybe you have a little more insight on what the hell is the FTW title?
Okay, I had no idea. I had to research this myself.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. This
Yeah.
is from the old school ECW.
I know what it is now, but at the time
I have no
First
idea.
of all, here's my argument with that. Number one, I'm not a big Taz fan. I never have.
No, of course. Who is?
Right. And I've told Clem this story when I was flying home from Virginia, and I happened to be flying home with some SmackDown guys, and Taz was working for WWE, Joe Styles at the time.
Yeah.
And I ran into and I always tell the story because the way I tell it is, Mark Henry couldn't go through the security thing like normally, like we do.
Right.
He kind of had to go in like sideways because he's short, but he's wide. It's just a big guy, but he's very short. He's not as tall. And I'm trying to say like what's up to Taz, and he was just like such a dick. Like I thought he was such a dick, and like he just didn't like he looked miserable. He looked like an irritable prick.
Yeah.
Just like talking to him or whatever. I didn't even chew his ear off. I just was like, oh hey, listen, I'm a big fan or whatever.
Right.
He just like didn't give a shit.
He makes New Yorkers look bad, that's for sure.
Yeah, like some of the other guys, like I knew who Rey Mysterio looked like without the mask, so like he was awesome. Like he was super nice and everything like that.
Sure.
And like just a simple what's up. I knew they were going home or whatever. But the FTW title was from like ECW days, like the 90s, like the late 90s stuff. It was a title that Taz created.
Right.
And I was like, and they gave it to him because it was like, it was the F the World title. It was a BS title. It was never defended. It was just Taz walking around with a belt, and that's all it really was.
So he basically created a belt to make himself feel good.
Yeah, but the thing
like
is,
$1 Million Man.
But now he gives it to Brian Cage, which makes no sense because Brian Cage is fighting Moxley for the belt, and it looks like he's going to probably be the champion. Yeah. I don't see a situation where Cage is going to not win at Fight for the Fallen or Fight of the Fallen, whatever it's called. But the belt, it just makes no sense that they introduced it now, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm giving it to Brian Cage. I'm like, well, if he's fighting for the world title, why are you giving him a belt?
Why does he even care about this stupid belt?
Yeah, and this belt,
they should give it to him after he loses to Moxley.
Yeah, like I mean, the belt never made much sense in ECW. It doesn't make any sense now.
It doesn't even look cool.
It's just orange and black, which was Taz's colors when he was in ECW as well as when he was in WWE. Right. And it's just the reason to have Taz on there every week, just kind of being, and he did the whole, like the tagline he did in ECW, beat him if you can, survive if he lets you. And I'm like, oh Jesus, they just went back to like 96 ECW.
Yeah.
There. And I was like, please, anything but Taz.
I loved when Stone Cold crapped all over him back when they were in the Alliance or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember Taz is wearing a Taz shirt and everyone else is wearing like a WCW shirt. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Wear a Taz shirt, and he rips off his Taz shirt. Oh, it was great. I never liked Taz. I don't know anyone that ever liked Taz.
He just seems like such an asshole. Like when you just I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know him personally or anybody. I don't know what people think of him, but it sounds like he was not very well liked, like in just in wrestling in general. Like he was very like arrogant and like everything. I only saw
him in WWE, and I was not impressed. I remember the vignettes where you didn't really see him, like it showed you like his shadow, and he looked like this giant guy. And then when he finally debuts, he's like 4'8". Like, what?
Because he was he was telling a story that when they did his music in WWE, and it was like the sound of that, like the heart monitor going like beep, and it goes like the tapping out, that he hated it, like he didn't like it at all. And I'm like, well, of course, because Taz doesn't like anything. Like he just like I don't think there was one, like Taz rarely cracked a smile like during interviews, like. He just looked like an irritable person. Like you said, he gave New Yorkers a bad name.
Yeah. Have you ever seen where he, like people on YouTube showed that his theme music is basically Roman Reigns' theme music now?
Is it?
You got to check it out. It's the same thing. It's like 90% the same song. Just like type Taz Roman Reigns song and it'll come up and you'll be like, oh, wow. They recycled that like 20 years later.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get some predictions from you for – I'll tell you what. We're not going to do Extreme Rules because I don't see anything major happening there.
Sure.
Give me some thoughts on what you think, like your predictions for matches for SummerSlam. Like what – if Andrew Pisano had to put the SummerSlam card together, like what matches do you want to see based on the talent they're using now and like feuds you think would really work leading into SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, McIntyre and Orton, I think that'd be good. I guess if you have to rush Bayley and Sasha, they should, they need to have a match. I mean, they've been on the main roster for so long. How have they've really not fought each other yet? So that could be a really good SummerSlam match. You got to get Kevin Owens to do something, my God, but he's got to stop fighting Seth Rollins. Maybe just turn him heel and give him the U.S. title back for now. He needs to be a heel. He needs to be a heel again.
He was better as a heel. Like, I mean, the thing was when he did that promo where he was killing Shane on SmackDown, when he did that one kind of CM Punk type promo.
Right.
I really thought they were onto something good there.
Yeah.
And then they just totally squashed it, and they just had Shane kind of being a dick, and then it just like that, it was gone, and I was like, all that momentum just went right down the drain.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time he's had a belt? It's been feel like forever.
It's been way too long.
I think it was the U.S. title, which was like a couple years ago. But I think on SmackDown side, I think Bray Wyatt will fight Braun Strowman again, and it'll be the Fiend this time, and the Fiend will win it back, which I'm fine with. But you just got to stop making the Fiend a supervillain that In
your opinion, did they ruin the Fiend when Goldberg beat him in like 3
Well, of course.
I mean, just like because they try to like bury it, and then they had him fight Cena.
Yeah.
It was just like.
How do you take a sledgehammer to the face and you get up right after, but then a spear puts you down, like a tackle?
And I mean, he wouldn't get up.
You down?
And I mean, he didn't even get up. Like, it took him a while to get up.
No. Because that Oldberg couldn't jackhammer him. So just a little tackle beats the Fiend. But 11 curb stomps doesn't.
So do you see, like, if they do like a tag title match, is it just going to be like Street Profits against Andrade and Garza? Like, would that
probably? But they haven't been on the show, so I guess by SummerSlam, if they do have COVID, because I guess maybe that's why they haven't been on the show.
No, I think it's because I thought I saw it online. I think it was on the WWE page. Angelo Dawkins' wife just had a baby.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's not.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess to be safe. Yeah, it would probably be Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade, and I would think Garza and Andrade would win, which I'm fine with. That's fine. But they also have like this whole storyline of how they hate each other, so who knows?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
It makes even just to cut back to the tag division, like they made the Viking Raiders such. I don't even know what
idiots.
to say. Like idiots.
What they did was when they were fighting jobbers, they were like invincible.
Yeah.
And then when they actually fought good tag teams, they made them look really weak.
Yeah.
They weren't as strong. They weren't as like I don't remember the first tag team they had a feud with. I don't think it was. I'm not going to say Ryder and Hawkins, but there was crap. I think maybe it was Rollins's like Rollins and Murphy when they put them together to win the titles, which was just even more ridiculous. And then the Viking Raiders looked really just ordinary. Like they just
they got ruined their first night on Raw. They got ruined. The Viking experience.
Oh my God.
First night on Raw. Viking experience.
They just left it at War Machine or War Raiders or whatever it was, and they called when they said the Viking experience. I was like,
yeah.
And then they're trying to and Corey Graves is trying really, really hard to like sell everybody on it.
Right.
I was like, this is beyond no. I know this is a terrible name.
Of course.
Were you surprised that the reason why Charlotte Flair has been out of action is because one of her implants popped?
Well, no, that's why that's every time she's out of action, it's her implants.
I was saying, this happened again.
Yeah, again.
Yes, it happened the second
again. Hit the Kyrie soundboard. I don't know. She's got to stop with all the plastic surgery. My God, go look back when she was in NXT. Even when she debuted on the main roster, like she looked human. She looked so different. Like she wasn't the best looking girl, but she was all right, and she just ruined herself, man. I don't understand the whole like, oh, you're shaming her for having plastic surgery. It's like, no, it's like you're trying to like say like be happy with how you are. Don't ruin yourself with plastic surgery.
But with like, she's another one that I said is like that she's in that main event field, and it just kind of again the shuffle, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
She wins the NXT title, then loses it to Io Shirai the very next night on Raw. The next Monday on Raw, she's in a title match against Asuka.
Of course.
Like she's automatically put into title matches
Yeah.
so many times.
And she's not as good as people as they say, as WWE says. They're like, oh, she's the best, and they say it so much that like the fans believe it, and they're like, oh, she's the best. No one, she's the best. She's the best. It's like, no, they just keep feeding it to you, and you're believing it.
And people just get so frustrated because they're tired of seeing her come out.
Yeah.
When, like I said, like wrestlers like Bianca Belair, who I'm a big fan of, because I think she could be a great heel, like on the women's side, or even like Ruby Riott, or even Liv Morgan. Like they squashed that feud before it really began.
Right.
And I was like, and like my wife's cousin, we talk wrestling all the time. I texted him, I go, just for the record, Liv Morgan just lost to Natalya. Let that sink in.
Yep.
Because they always have to do, like Natalya, they're trying to turn into a heel, and then they have her pairing up with Lana, which just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Like
as bad as Natalya is as a face, she's even worse as a heel, which is usually it usually works the opposite way. Because being a heel is easy, but she can't do it. She's like too nice of a person in real life, I guess. She just can't do it.
Here's the thing about Natalya. Natalya overall, just in the ring and outside the ring, just comes off as a kind of just like a depressing figure because she really did not amount to much in WWE. Like she has a pulse, and that's why she gets matches and like title matches on occasion, all that stuff. Then you put her on a show like Total Divas, and she's like the most annoying person on the show.
Right.
So there's that. It's just like every time you put Natalya in this situation, it's like she's almost like borderline unbearable to watch.
Yeah, and Total Divas is not that, I never watched it, but at least to my idea, it was supposed to be all the super hot women in WWE, and why is she there? I mean, she's okay looking, but she's not on the level of the Bellas or
Alexa Bliss or
even
like Liv. Even Liv was on it for a little
while.
Liv looked awesome.
Of course.
And the only really found out about that show is Alicia Fox was completely out of her mind.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that makes sense. But no, I think Natalya was just born too late. She should have been around 10, 15 years ago when it was the divas wrestling, because she more fits with that, I think. Not just in the sense that she's an average wrestler,
If you truly want to see some brutal wrestling from like the Monday Nitro days, you should watch, I don't know if it's called WrestleBotch, but they always do on Mondays. They put up clips of Steve Mongo McMichael.
Yes, I do follow them. I've seen those.
They are like, I cannot stop laughing, and my wife's cousin sends it to me every Monday.
Yeah.
He goes, it's Mongo Monday.
Right.
And it's literally like you can't explain how bad it is. Like
no,
how uncoordinated, how just like completely just terrible of a wrestler he really was.
Yeah.
In the WCW, and they kind of gave him, wasn't he a horseman? Like,
but
if you get a chance, you got to see it.
I've seen some of them on that account. Yeah, I've seen them for sure. It's
like those, and the Brie Bella botches are probably my favorites, because Brie Bella was by far like some of the worst botch moves.
Oh my god.
She tripped over the ropes more times when she used to go through, like kind of do that dive through the ropes.
Oh yeah.
She used to trip all the time. It was so bad.
Yep.
Right.
And then when she kicked Liv's head off, and she just kept kicking her. She just kept kicking her, not realizing she's kicking Liv in the face multiple times. It's like, what are you doing? And now that's Nia Jax. That's Nia Jax's job, is to just injure all the women. Because if they're all injured, then I guess they got to make me champion.
Andrew, poor Kairi Sane. Oh, Kairi Sane. Poor Kairi Sane. I can understand why she wants to retire right now. I think she just wants to leave WWE in one piece.
I want to live.
I watched the last one where like Nia literally puts her head into the steel like steps and head first, and I'm like, how is Kairi Sane not dead?
If Nia wasn't kind of related to The Rock, she wouldn't be there.
I mean, hey, look, we do have to give Nia credit. She did start Becky Lynch as the man. Her breaking Becky's nose, that was awesome. That was the best thing that could have went for Becky. So clap it up for Nia, really.
Thanks, Nia. Yeah.
All right, one more question for me before we let you go. So, are you? I'm trying to let me see if I can question this right. So, WWE really hasn't done this much Impact has done a little bit more. Not really AEW, but some of the indie federations have leaned more towards men versus women matches.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, it's two parts. Are you a big fan of those? And in a weird way, if like, let's say a woman like Tessa Blanchard loses the title, like the men's title, like she did in Impact, she had to give it up because they fired her. But I'm saying she couldn't really go back to the women's federation, right? Like, because it just would be like, you've hit your peak fighting men, so there's not much for you after that. I mean,
you mean like if she went to the WWE?
Or just in general, like let's say she was in the WWE and she fought Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns beat her for the title, which would just be like awkward. It would probably never happen, but I'm saying like, or like someone like Baron Corbin beat her.
Right.
From that point on, with Tessa Blanchard, would it make sense to then put her back into the women's division since she's been in a feud with men for like months?
Well, I think you can in WWE because, I mean, how many people watch Impact to begin with? I mean, how many people have really seen Tessa Blanchard's title run? I mean, between WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW, I don't have time to watch Impact. Not that I wanted to before.
I can barely keep up with WWE, let alone like I try to watch AEW when I can. But it's just too much wrestling right now, and I just can't keep up with all of it. It's just really,
I mean, if I was gonna watch TNA, I'd probably go back, 10, 15 years when they had Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Bobby Roode. I'd probably go watch that. And I've seen clips, and I was like, wow, maybe I should have watched some TNA back then, because they had a lot of talent.
The 6
But Tessa Blanchard, I think you could have her, Rhea Ripley, and even Charlotte fight some men. But like they can't fight Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Like that's just too. You could have them beat them up. Like someone just posted the clip of when Corbin gave Becky the end of days.
Yes, I saw that today actually.
And it was like, oh right, I forgot how awesome that was. And it made Corbin look like this super evil, piece of crap. And then of course now he just wears a crown and tells dad jokes. But they could have really capitalized on that because. I think you could attack the women. That's what makes you a bad guy. It's just like in the movies. Bad guys hit women. That's what makes them bad and evil. So I think you could have Tessa Blanchard fight some men. Like, Rhea Ripley beat up Robert Stone because they sell him as, just a manager who can't fight.
Yeah.
So I think you could do some of that, but no, I don't think you can legitimize Tessa Blanchard beating Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar. I mean, you couldn't do that with Finn Balor. Finn Balor can't beat Brock Lesnar.
No.
So,
we know Ricochet can't beat Brock Lesnar.
No, definitely not. No.
Ooh, wait, hold on. I got some breaking news real quick.
Yeah.
I'm just looking on Facebook real quick, and perched on the top row it has breaking news that Dave Meltzer reported that 16-time world champion John Cena is no longer under WWE contract.
Oh, really?
Apparently, that's what Dave Meltzer's reporting.
Yeah, but I think he's done with wrestling altogether. I don't think it really matters. He might do like a one-off appearance somewhere, but I highly doubt he's going to wrestle big matches anymore.
No, I mean that makes sense. I just felt for a long time Vince was just paying him just so that he can't go anywhere else.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Can't go to AEW or anything like that.
Andrew, man, this was awesome. Thank you again for being on our show. Thank you for always, you and Joe and Eric, always being on our show in the past. We always have a lot of laughs when you guys come on our show. And, we always look forward to talking to you guys about wrestling.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
Clem, we still relive the day when Clem called the wrong brother.
Sure.
we never let him live that down. That's just how we do things on this show. But
I should have just went with it and said, "Yeah, I'm Joe." Yeah. I don't think it was over the phone.
You would have never known because we don't have Zoom. You could have just messed up. I mean, can you do it?
It's over the phone. We sound alike. A lot of times our fans tell us they can't tell us apart. Some people listen. They've been listening for a year and they're like, yeah, it's Joe and Eric or Andrew and Eric. And they don't even realize that there's two Pisano brothers. So I think that's pretty funny.
But listen, we always look forward to having you on your show. We hope to get a chance to have you and Joe on again, maybe around maybe closer to SummerSlam.
Yeah, sounds good.
Definitely talk some stuff. But thanks again for always taking the time to be on our show.
Yeah, you got it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care of yourself. All right, say hi to Joe and Eric for us, okay?
I will do that.
All right, take care, man.
See you guys. Bye.
That was Andrew Pisano, host of the What's Wrong with Wrestling podcast, co-host with his brother Joe and Eric Hamilton. Definitely check it out on Patreon. And they've always been a great friend to us, and we always look forward to having them on the show. And Clem, are you fired up for Extreme Rules now that we've had a chat with Andrew?
Like, I was not excited at all for Extreme Rules at whatsoever, and neither should any other WWE fan.
Right.
But after talking to Andrew, I'm ready to watch some wrestling. I try to catch NXT and AEW whenever I can, but I actually might watch SmackDown this week now, and I definitely am probably going to watch.
That SmackDown on Friday was beyond terrible. It was beyond terrible.
We were doing. I forgot what I was in class on Friday night because I do my EMT classes on Zoom, and I had AEW. I mean, I had SmackDown on the background, and I hear the segment with Matt Riddle about. I'm like, is he done? He's done already. This is it. He's terrible. It's done. I'm like, I love Matt Riddle so much. I was so happy to see him. I don't know why I get my hopes up anymore when anyone gets called up. I don't know why.
The problem is, and I'll just leave it with this before we get out of here. I just think the problem is that they have so many guys on their roster that can really do. And listen, if you watch, and I use Ruby Riott a lot as an example because she's the first person that comes to my head. You have your Paige Van Zandt obsession. I have my Ruby obsession. That's just how it is. But when you watch her indie work, she's that good of a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And they just do nothing with her. Like I said, we said it here a bunch of times. The worst mistake they made was breaking up the Riot Squad.
Yes.
By far, it was a great faction. It didn't need to be broken up with the stupid draft and all that stuff. You could have just had them all go over together, and that was it. But they have so much talent that they don't know what to do with it. And then what they do is they just keep bringing back guys like Jeff Hardy. They keep bringing back the Sheamuses of the world. For me, these guys have kind of run their course. They don't do anything for me anymore. Like, you keep bringing back Sheamus as a heel, and he just keeps being mediocre.
Yeah.
And that's really just the problem. It's the same thing with Bobby Lashley. You keep bringing him back, he's just average. He doesn't move the needle for me.
Well, I think what it is now, and especially it's not even just AEW, with all the talent all these promotions that Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, AEW, NWA, all this stuff that people will, if they know a name, they will potentially go watch it. I think WWE is afraid of that, and you even saw that was a prime example when they signed EC3. He was in he came in hot. He was immediately put in the North American title ladder match at Brooklyn for whatever it was the one right before. He was put right into that, and it was great. And then he gets called up to the main roster, and he was literally just like, "Oh, we signed him just so no one else could sign him." And I think that's the problem.
Here's the problem. You brought up a very good point just now. You just named a bunch of federations.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are the main market federations. Can we agree? They all have TV deals and or streaming deals or whatever. It's kind of similar to podcasts. Now, we do a podcast. We have fun with it. Now, I'm going to lay this on the table. We don't take ourselves very seriously on this show. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of laughs. We talk sports. But there are a lot of people who have accomplished nothing in the podcasting world who swear they're amazing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is the markets are oversaturated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? With podcasts, we're never going to compete with celebrity podcasts.
Yeah.
We already know that. We can try, but it's not going to get us anywhere. We would have to invest a lot of money, which we don't have. Okay? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I'm not trying
to piss on your. What's that?
I was like, I'm not hiding no money from the A1 Sports Network.
I'm not trying to make you feel like shit, and if I am, I'm sorry. It's not really what I'm trying to do.
I'll cry out.
But what's that?
I
know you have a secret. Listen, I know that you have a secret bank account in the Cayman Islands because you let me do this show for free. Okay, so we already know that. So you don't have to, you fly down like in Scarface. You just fly, you take money in bundles and just dump it in the, where, I know how you roll. It's cool. Nobody, we have a select few listeners. So, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I got as much money as worldwide.
Well, at least you're not doing your shows from a batting cage. Oh, no. Clang, clang.
Oh.
But my point is that the federations are saturated.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different federations. Like, for example, in NWA, You brought up NWA. The champion is Nick Aldis, who was in TNA. He was Magnus,
Mhm.
right? Great wrestler. But again, nobody watches it because it's just there's too much saturation, you know.
Yeah.
So you try to compete, but you're not going to. Ring of Honor has trouble competing against AEW and WWE. Impact has had trouble forever to compete with those guys, and it's the same thing.
Mhm.
You know, it's just too much wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, now that it's, you know, everything is at a standstill, nobody's going to shows because they can't have audience members in the crowd. All these federations are losing money.
Mhm.
So they're doing whatever they can. So they're relying on their streaming deals to keep their audience.
Right.
But if you watch, like, go back in time, subscribe to the Impact channel on YouTube. Go back in time to when they had audience members and then watch it without audience members, and it's like a night and day. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
Whereas you see the difference in WWE, you feel the difference in AEW. You feel the difference in when we had VSK on with Cap. You go to a Cap show, fans are into it. When they're not there, it's noticeable. Even though Cap only caters to like 50 to 100 fans, let's say, give or take, I don't know, but they sell out every show. And they put on a great show, but without that audience interaction, without that audience reaction, unfortunately, the shows fall flat no matter how many times you do moonsaults off the top rope or leap over, whatever, leap onto like 5 guys. So I totally get it.
Mhm.
And I think that I'll just leave it at this. WWE is playing the card they've been dealt. Any chance they had of bringing fans to Florida is out because of the coronavirus cases. You have 30,000 cases in 2 days. There's no way you can justify having fans, and fans aren't going to come anyway. They're not going to go.
Mhm.
So they're playing the card what they had. The problem is that the product is suffering. So you have no choice but to kind of do these heel turns and feuds quickly. You just got to keep doing it because that's what's going to keep your product fresh. And that's why people are going to watch every week.
Mhm.
So, Clem, anything before we get out of here?
No, that's really it, man. Look, it's always great talking. I'm very happy we got Andrew on, and I can't wait to do future shows with him, man.
I got really nothing as well. The only thing I will say, which I forgot to mention to Andrew when we were talking, is there's a report going on the wrestling circuit that the reason why that Bruce Pritchard, who took over Raw and SmackDown,
Mhm.
is already like mentally drained and exhausted from doing everything. And again, it's just, well, that's what happens when you're a McMahon guy. He's going to work you to the bone until there's nothing left to work.
Yep.
Especially now in this pandemic, he doesn't give a shit how you're feeling. He doesn't give a shit if you're tired or not. I mean, he's going to expect masterpieces every week, and when he doesn't get it, you're going to be the fall guy.
Oh my god.
So, and the other thing too is I was watching Raw. Did you see have you watched Raw yet this week?
No, I have not.
I'm going to say one thing. I don't know what Mysterio's son's role is in this whole thing, but he needs work.
Oh yeah, he does.
He walked down to the ring with Rey Mysterio last night. He looked awkward walking down the aisle. He looked really awkward, like he didn't know how to do it. It just looked really weird when he went down the aisle.
Like,
So I just hope he doesn't. I hope they don't have a big storyline for him in this whole eye for an eye crap match on Sunday, because if you're doing that, I don't think he's ready for it. But that's just my opinion.
Look, I'm still convinced he's Eddie Guerrero's son. So you remember that storyline?
I remember that very well.
That was.
Oh, man. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it for us for the Moffett on the Mic show for today. A very special thank you to Andrew Pisano from the What's Wrong with Wrestling podcast for joining us on the show to talk wrestling. We always look forward to having them on. Andrew and Joe have been guests of ours in the past. And again, like we said, they even drove out to be our in-studio guests. And they've always been good friends to the show, and we love having them on, and we can't wait to have them on again. Maybe closer to SummerSlam, maybe we can have Andrew and Joe, or maybe have all 3 guys on.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be pretty awesome. But again, we really appreciate them. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter. Check out their show on Patreon. And, again, we really appreciate them having them on. Clem, thank you for holding it down like you normally do. Follow the show, my show on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook. And you can follow the A1 Sports Network as well on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. On behalf of the People's Producer, Chris Klim, I am Craig Moffett. This has been the Moffett on the Mic Show. Wherever you are, stay safe. Have a great rest of the day. Wherever you go, and wear the damn mask, please. Because right now, while we're doing well in New York, you never know when it could turn on the drop of a dime, and that's the last thing we really need right now. So again, on behalf of Clem, I am Craig. This has been the Moffett on the Mic Show. Wherever you are, stay safe. Have a great rest of the evening, everyone. We'll be back in a few days with an all-new episode. Clem, take care of yourself, and we will talk again later this week.